My first memories of Temple Emanuel were of a time and place when we were in between buildings of our own. We were renting space in a church on Brady Street. The building was dark and cool inside. And I remember a balcony where we kids would run back and forth and play games. I remember coming to services with my parents when all the men were dressed in suits and ties, something like today. And all the women wore dresses and hats, very elaborate, and even then, to my young mind, pretty fancy. I always wondered if those hats were supposed to be some kind of gown. I remember years in Sunday school where my mother was a third-grade teacher. Somehow, through those years growing up in the larger world, those teachers managed to give me a foundation in Jewish history, religion, culture, and living. I remember my bar mitzvah and confirmation study with Rabbi Satin, and what a God seemed like to me at the time. He was tall, had a commanding and persuasive voice, and he was very kind to us kids. Rabbi Markman and I did what we could to cause trouble, of course. The rabbi never came. I remember a service that my grandfather, Ben Stewart, and I attended, where he must have talked quite a bit. I actually know he talked. Because in my next confirmation class, Rabbi Zion asked me not to talk to my grandfather. And I told my grandfather, he laughed, and he had a good chuckle, but we never talked again during service. My greatest gift from Temple Emanuel, however, was my formative years, or in my formative years, was sending me to nifty regional conferences and conclaves and Camp Schwader, or Matzah, where I met a lot of other Jewish kids outside my family and the temple. I didn't know there were so many other Jewish kids around. It was eye-opening to learn that there was a Jewish world out there and that I would find my place in. I found that place, ironically, here at Temple Emanuel, where Marilyn and I have raised our child, Emily, and where she celebrated her various life cycle events so far. Temple Emanuel has been my Jewish home away from home, and I hope it has at least another 150 years of children to raise and teach Jewish values to the next couple of years.
My name is Marilyn Cohen. I've been a member of Temple Emanuel since I became engaged to David Cohen in 1972. It has been a fabulous, welcoming, warm community to me for all these many years. I married into a family where my father-in-law, Bud Cohen, was a past president. My mother-in-law, Marilyn Cohen, was a past sisterhood president. So I plugged right in, did every job in the place until I became the first woman president of Congregation of Temple Emanuel. I congratulate the temple on its longevity and its great success. I have a lot of favorite stories about the temple. One of them involves a very stressful meeting that I chaired years ago, but we got through it and the temple hung together then as it is now.
I remember that one of the highlights of Temple Emanuel life used to be our famous month's court. A few of us worked the entire day in the kitchen, which was extremely tiring. However, it was really exciting. We were exhausted at the end of the day. Maddie Gottlieb always brought her blender, and at the end of the long day, we were all so tired by the time we had had our drinks, we hardly knew up from down. But we certainly were feeling no pain. Maddie was in her element. There also were those wonderful parties we used to have. Estelle Hafner was queen of the party givers. We had one dance which I believe was called the black and white ball. Everyone dressed appropriately in black and white. It was a fabulous party. Unfortunately, I think those days are gone forever. One of my warm memories of the time I was president was a special service we had in honor of our past presidents. Rabbi Karp wrote a great creative service. We presented each past president with a silver Kiddush cup engraved with their name and dates of their service. The idea came from a biennial of the UHC, which I attended. Each past president was asked to give a many times very humorous. I think each person spent a great deal of time trying to make his talk as interesting as possible. Many congregants attended the service, and I was very pleased with the reception that the service received.
Hi, my name is Meade. I've been a member of the temple for 25 years, all of my life. Temple to me, it means going somewhere and having people around you that you care about. Something happens to you in your life, they're there to support you and take you all the way to the end. Story of mine, I would say doing nifty, different stuff, being president for 2 years and then just taking care of it and making kids know that they're always welcome here, having fun, taking them across country and showing them what the real Jewish life is all about.
I was born in 1949, so my experiences in the Quad City Jewish community are much less than half as old as the congregation I belong to. Yet I represent a small history of the diversity of Judaism in the Quad Cities. When I was born, my parents lived on 5th Avenue in Rock Island, across the street from the 9th Street Shul, where my grandfather was the shaman. My parents were always members of both Temple Emanuel and the Tri-City Jewish Center, so I experienced the richness of growing up in a small Midwestern Jewish community where most every Jew knew every other. I wouldn't trade it. My religious education took place at Temple Emanuel. My Sunday school class was 16 strong and very lively as we challenged teachers Trudy Moses, Beverly Ginsburg, Bud Cohen, Matt Farber, and Bruce Balch. We had a junior choir, complete with green robes, and a real music teacher, Mrs. Morgan, constantly exhorted us to sing from our stomachs, not from our heads. Our guidance students, including Garfield, Donna Cutler, Bobby Lansing, and my siblings, carpooled, always hoping the bridge would open, so that we could sing. Girl could have a bas mitzvah, as we called it then, at Temple Emanuel in the days of Rabbi Zion. I remember the event with wonderful nostalgia, though in those days we were not allowed to either lift the Torah or write our own speeches. 16 of us were confirmed here with Rabbi Leiner. We performed a cantata sent out by the UAHC, which was definitely in vogue at that time. My teen years were very much shaped by the B'nai B'rith Youth Organization that had more than 100 members in my day. We had a newspaper, a community service team, volleyball and softball teams, and even sponsored 3 formal dances for Jewish teens each year. We traveled all over Illinois from Chicago to Champaign, competing, socializing, and praying with other Jewish teens. After college, I moved away, and at times I lived in places that were far from Jewish congregations, on the Zuni Indian Reservation, the Sierra in Mexico, and in Kenya. At other times, I belonged to congregations in Albuquerque, Santa Fe, and El Paso. Though these congregations were all nice, they never had for me the at-home feel of Temple Emanuel. 25 years later, I moved back to Rock Island and accepted a teaching job just 3 blocks from the site of my original home in the 9th Street Shul, now the Martin Luther King Center. Once again, I was a member of Temple Emanuel. Talk about full circle. When I walked into the temple for the first High Holy Day services after my return, I felt a rush of familiarity, minus the ladies wearing new hats and little white gloves. And of course, Betty Cockle was still answering the temple's phone in the same easy way she had throughout my childhood. I joined the Sisterhood Board and fell in love with the camaraderie of the temple's women of Reform Judaism, including a few faces I knew, together with many people who had arrived in the Quad Cities after I left. As a kid, I was kind of a nerd who liked religious school, and especially the 9th grade curriculum, which centered around comparative religion. So it seems fitting that I now teach that course at the temple. I have had great fun getting to know the temple's teens and noting the differences from my era, with the addition of cell phones, students in shorts, and Weigle breakfasts. What remains the same is the spirit of Temple Emanuel.
Hi, I'm Dave Weigle. I've been a member of Temple Emanuel as long as I can remember. My earliest memory was kindergarten at the synagogue on 11th and Brady Street. Later we moved here to 12th and Mississippi, and I remember coming into the sanctuary while it was under construction and seeing the workers use a jigsaw to cut out the plywood letters that are on the bima. I was here at the cornerstone laying with my grandparents. I guess Mom and Dad couldn't get off work and Mom had a bridge game or something. Those are my earliest memories of Temple, and I hope there are many, many more.
As I reflect on my experiences as a longtime member of Temple Emanuel, I'd like to offer the following ironies. First, I met the love of my life when we were both students at the University of Colorado. Ironically, both of our families were in the furniture business. We were married in 1950 and joined the Reformed congregation in Denver where we were living. Ironically, the name of that congregation was and is Temple Emanuel. Temple Emanuel in Denver began a building fund drive and hired an architect by the name of Percival Goodman to design the new building. Ironically, the same man designed the building that we're in. 1960 urban renewal fever hit Denver. Our store building was purchased by the city and torn down. My dad retired, and I was looking for either a new location or to purchase an existing business. I received a phone call from my brother-in-law, Ken Freeman, advising me that a good store had been put on the market in Davenport. That store was Gibbs. Ironically, we said goodbye to Rabbi Zion, Joel Zion. And hello, Rabbi Zion, Marcus Zion. when we moved here. Anyway, guess what we were observing, if I correctly remember, at Temple Emanuel. It was the 100th anniversary. And we commemorated it. We had dinner at the outing club.
Hello, my name is Helene Karp, and I've been a member of the Temple for 17 years, my entire life. And the Temple means a lot to me because I grew up here, and it's pretty much my second home, away from home. And my dad being the rabbi, I learned a lot from the Temple, and that's what it means to me.
Hi, my name is Erin Weinstein. I've been a member here for 19 years, and the Temple is kind of one big happy family, and we all get along really well. And my favorite memory is my bat mitzvah. I had it here, and it was really exciting.
I can't recall how old my first year of Sunday school, and I don't remember off the top of my head the date of my bat mitzvah or confirmation. But I do remember the way I felt on Sunday morning, sitting in the sanctuary and sitting next to my Jewish friend. I remember so well the mini service Canon Rabbi would hold before Sunday school started. I loved the singing and Rabbi's sermons and stories. Even now, I am older and able to enjoy and relive this all again through teaching kindergarten at Temple. I realize how blessed I have been and how being Jewish and growing up in the Temple Emanuel family has made me the person I am today. Over the years, I've been to other synagogues and I have attended many Shabbat services, including in Israel. And I've enjoyed them all, but growing up in Temple Emanuel and feeling so comfortable in the synagogue and feeling the presence of God stronger here than I do anywhere else is why I love Temple. Over the last several years, I would hear a little voice in my head saying, "Sarah, it's time to go to a Friday night Shabbat service." And even though I ignored it many times, still the times I would go, I felt so happy and even a little guilty because I felt I got so much from the service, yet I knew that it would be too long before I would make it back to another Shabbat. When I was a teenager, I went to a Jewish camp called Judaism in Indiana. And I had heard a song, and the main verse said, "I will not take these things for granted." That song reminds me of Temple and how I always thought to myself, Rabbi will always be there, Cantor will always sing her beautiful melodies, and Oneg and Kala will always be made. I have taken Temple for granted, but this last year when Rabbi was out and had surgery is the first time I thought, who will be there for services? Who will take care of all that he does? Most temples I have been to have designated people, for instance, to help with our bat mitzvah training and confirmation, but not Rabbi Karp. He does it all on his own. I didn't realize how much work it was to put together lessons, and now that I am teaching 5-year-olds, boy vey. A special memory I have is the time my mom Judy would play Debbie Friedman songs on her way to many visits with the Jewish seniors in the area. She loved Temple and she loved doing mitzvahs for so many people in the community. I broke my ankle last July in an accident, and I was feeling down and not able to do much cooking. I got a call from Temple asking if I needed anything, and I said, maybe a few meals. That week I got a delivery of enough food to feed the Israeli army. I loved it. That's what it's all about, folks, the giving, the volunteering, and just lending a hand for our Temple family. The feeling I get every time I step foot in the sanctuary, the feeling I got when I had meals brought to my home, the feeling I got from everyone who expressed beautiful memories they had of my mother after she passed away. The feeling I get when I'm teaching children about God and being serious. The feeling I get during services, the silent prayer comes, and Cantor sings from the heart which says Shalom. The feeling I get when the shofar is blown, when the Torah ark is open. All of my memories are the best feelings in the world, and Temple Emanuel, Rabbi, and Cantor Karp, and all of you have made these heartfelt memories so special to me.
My name is Rob Lipnick, and I have been a member at Temple Emanuel for 25 years. And you know, for me, the temple has been, along with a couple of other very meaningful things, one of the most meaningful things here in the Quad Cities for me, because I re-involved myself with Jewish life. I met a core group of people here that that have meant a lot to me while I've been here. My kids have all been bar mitzvahed here and got a very good Jewish education that has stuck with them. And in terms of my memories, they go back to those memories which are core memories of my children's lives, and now my life, and of course my wife's life also. So, and one of the things also is the synagogue was very accepting of me, which I really appreciated. And I think that one of the things that has really sustained my relationship with the synagogue is my relationship with Henry and Gail Karp, who have been really extremely meaningful leaders and prime members of my family. So the whole synagogue family, Henry and Gail, and my own family have always been deeply affected by Temple Emanuel.